is the role-specific orientation for all nurses hired into the Peace Health Medical Group, both RNs and LPNs from across the system. I'm Sasha, and I'm a clinical nurse educator stationed here in the Eugene-Springfield area. I was a charge nurse in the operating room at Peace Health at Riverbend prior to getting into clinical education. I'm going to have all of you guys introduce yourselves shortly, all 2 of you or 3 of you. But first, we're going to do some quick housekeeping. And we'll have Rachel introduce herself to you guys during group introductions. So before we get started, we want to review basic Teams functionality. We have the chat box, which if you guys look at your Teams, Rachel, can you see my arrow when I point on it?
No.
Okay, so I am pointing on it, but I wonder if in this view it doesn't show it. So at the top, you'll look and it'll have participants, which looks like a little person. Then you'll have like a little chat, like a speech dialogue box. That's the chat box. And then next to that, you'll see like a little hand and a smiley face. And that is how you can raise your hand. There's emojis. And then if you keep going to the right, you'll see what looks like a camera. And then to the right of that is your microphone. Maria, that would be how you mute, but I already know you know how to do that because you've done it. Sophie, your microphone's not working, so I don't know that you'll need to worry about that. Just make sure the biggest challenge during Teams training is the audio issues caused by the headset. So if your headset dies or you're having a hard time hearing the audio, you can always call in from a cell phone or your desk phone. You stay logged in on your computer so you can see the content, but you will hear through the phone line. So if you do need to call in, just let us know. The call information is in the Teams invite, and then we can also post it in the chat window. Okay. So just remember to please click on your microphone to mute yourself when joining the training to prevent any background noise and to raise your hand throughout the training to ask questions. And you can also just put any questions into the chat box or unmute your microphone and ask. It's a small class, so if you guys have questions, just feel free to type it or ask. So next we're going to talk about confidentiality. This is a confidential space. We will be asking you to share your personal experiences throughout the class. As always, keep patient privacy in mind when sharing clinical examples and don't repeat anything shared in class. The focus, so with online trainings, it can be tempting to multitask and continue to check your emails, monitor chats, be on your phone, but please try to set yourself as do not disturb and remain present. You will get out of this training what you put into it, and no matter how talented we all might be, it's impossible to read emails and listen to the content at the same time. Cell phones, again, we trust you aren't doing anything else on your cell phone. However, we will be asking you to use your cell phones to play a game at 2 different times during the training. So if you don't have a cell phone, you can use your internet browser on your computer as well. And then lastly, breaks. This is a 4-hour class and there will be a 15-minute break in the middle. We understand that you guys may need to step away to take care of something business, going to the restroom, whatever it might be. And we ask that you just put a be right back in the chat window. Just let us know when you're back so we don't call on you by accident. Okay. So we are going to go ahead and do introductions. Sophie, you'll have to use the chat window and I can just read it aloud. Maria, you can come up and it looks like, Rachel, it looks like we have another.
Linda.
Yes, which I didn't see on the list, so. Linda, thank you for joining us. Are you able to come off mute and see if your audio works, your microphone?
Linda, are you from Florence? I believe Kathleen said that she was going to forward the invite to somebody. So let me see. Okay.
Let's see. Oh, she can hear us.
Okay,
Okay.
good. Maybe
So
she
Linda,
just doesn't have a microphone.
yeah. Linda, do you have a microphone?
Okay. No.
Yes.
And
Or
Linda,
no?
are you from Florence? Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Perfect. We're glad to have you.
So no microphone and she's from Florence. Okay.
If you want, I can go check to see if they can give her a headset so that she can have a microphone.
Oh, that would be good if somebody could get that. It's always nice to have um
Audio.
chatting, yeah,
Yeah.
during
I'll be
this.
right back then. I'll go see if I can find one.
Okay,
Okay,
great. Thank
perfect.
you.
We'll wait. All right, we're just gonna wait here a couple minutes to see if we can't find a microphone for Linda.
Hey, Sasha, on Liza, I'm just gonna withdraw her from the class. Is that okay with you?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
So everyone's at lunch and I can't find anyone to get her a headset.
Oh, that's
Okay.
okay. Thank you
All
for
right.
looking.
All right.
We can try again at break or see how it goes. Okay, so we're going to start with introductions. Like I said, my name's Sasha Larkin. I'm a clinical nurse educator here in the Eugene Springfield area. I have been a nurse for the last 7 years. My previous experience, I came from the operating room. I was a charge nurse. I've also worked for Lane County Public Health. I have done outpatient endoscopy, and then I also currently still occasionally work at Lane County Jail as a nurse in booking there. So I have done many, many things in my short career. A goal that I have related to my nursing position at Peace Health has really just been to become enmeshed in the ambulatory side because I have really spent my career at Peace Health on the inpatient side, so ambulatory is new to me. So I'm learning new things every day. We'll go ahead and I'll have Rachel go ahead and introduce. She's the other clinical nurse educator teaching the class with me. I'll let her introduce herself to you guys. Go ahead, Rachel.
Hi, my name is Rachel Vogel. I am a nurse educator for the Columbia Network. So I work with Longview and Vancouver. So Sophie, I am your gal if you need anything. Um, so I have been a nurse for 10 years. I was an LPN for 1 year before that. My first job out of nursing school was in a psych hospital. So that was very interesting. And then I moved into acute care and emergency, and then transitioned into informatics. And now I am a nurse educator. So I too have worn many hats in the nursing role, but I have loved every single one of them, and I've been a nurse educator for almost 2 years. So I still feel like I'm a baby nurse educator. And a goal that I have related to my nursing position here at Peace Health would be finishing up my master's. So, and I tell you, if any of you are going back to school, WGU is the way to go. You can get through it quick and cheap. I
Oh,
always like to
good
put
to
a plug
know.
in. Yes,
Yeah,
Chip.
good to know.
Yeah, I finished my bachelor's in 9 months, so it was really
Wow.
yeah because you go at your own pace. I could have finished at 6 months, but I got a little lazy at the end. So yeah, it is. It's a really quick program if you're willing to do it.
Okay. And then I think we'll go with Sophie. It looks like she's typing. So as soon as that gets typed in, um, I will read it to everyone. While she's typing, actually, Maria, why don't you go? Since you're the only one that has a mic, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and then we'll read the two gals that have to type.
Okay, my name is Maria Loss. I've been hired as a clinic RN in Florence. So I'm working with the Peace Health Medical Group. My years of experience in nursing, I really hate to say because it's been a long time. I went to a 2-year program and I graduated in 1972. And I pretty much worked full time. Well, not, I worked part and full time off and on for all those years. I did take a couple years off when I hit retirement age. And I got a little bored, so they just hired me back to do some per diem. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. Um, one goal that I have related to my nursing position here at Peace Health is just to be a valued team member, I think, and to be flexible to go wherever they need me to go. I have worked virtually every area of nursing that you could probably think about, with the exception of maternal health and OB. I've worked ICU, CCU, ER. I've worked on an ambulance. I've worked peds. I worked 25 years in the OR and recovery room. I worked 12 years in social services as a public health nurse working with Child Protective Services. I've worked as a community health nurse once I moved to Oregon, and I worked with Douglas County setting up the community health in Reedsport once it was pulled by Douglas County. Then I did community care coordination for a while and did a lot of Medicare wellness visits while I was doing that. And then I retired for a few years and now I'm back. So I just want to find a little niche that I can be good at and enjoy just working per diem.
Nice. Well,
Wow.
I love having nurses that have that much experience and have worn that many hats on the call because you don't know how much your stories are going could possibly help the other people that are in this class. So please, if you have any good stuff to share, please remember to share it because we'd love to hear it.
Okay.
That's pretty incredible. What an incredible career. Okay, so now we'll go to Sophie. Sophie wrote, "My name is Sophie. I am a clinic RN at St. John in Longview. I graduated nursing school in December. Congratulations, Sophie." And she also wants to continue her education. Excellent. I think that that's a great idea. And then we'll go to Linda. Linda, if you want to go ahead and just type in the chat window your introduction, I can read it.
Oh, she can still hear us. I didn't see her typing.
You guys literally popped up at the same time.
Oh,
Okay. Hi there, my name is Linda Jacobson, and I have been hired in the anti-coag department. I also work intermittently at the VA in North Bend. I have worked in long-term triage, urgent care in Newport, as well as I have worked as a travel nurse. I live here in Florence and enjoy working close to home. I have been a nurse since 2010 and would like to go back to school when I grow up. Perfect. Going back to school, it can get hard. It can be hard to motivate yourself to do it, but it is well worth it. Okay. So we are just going to move along here then. So we're going to start with a reflection. This reflection is the nurses change lives. This is a video on how nurses can change lives, obviously, so have tissues ready. As you're watching this video, I'd like you guys to just be thinking about one of your proudest nursing moments, because we are going to share that following the video. Rachel's going to post the link to the video. I will say, Rachel, last time people were clicking on the link on the slide and it was working. I don't know if it'll work this
Oh,
time, but
good.
we also have the link in the chat window. So if you guys all just want to click on either link and go ahead and watch this video, and then just when you come back, if you just want to let me know in the chat window, say back or done or whatever you want to say, so we know when everyone's done following the video, that would be great. Okay.
I tell you, pregnant or not, I still cry at this video. It doesn't matter. I could be pregnant or could not be pregnant. I've watched this video probably 100 times.
It's an emotional video. It's pretty impactful. Right. So it looks like we're just waiting on Linda to finish up. Okay, so we're all done. All right, what'd you guys think of the video? Maria, what'd you think? Pretty impactful video, huh?
I loved it. I obviously I'm too old to be pregnant, but it kind of brought emotions to me as well. Um, and it just makes you realize that, you know, the small things you do can have huge impacts.
Right.
One thing that I love to point out about this video is that I know that we have a new graduate here, but as you saw in the video, that it was a student nurse that was the one who was taking care of the Ebola patients. She figured out how that she could safely do that. And so it really doesn't matter how far you along in your nursing career that you are, you could still do amazing, wonderful things. And it doesn't, it just doesn't matter that you're a baby nurse or you've been a nurse for 40 years.
Mhm. So who wants to share with us, any volunteers that would want to share with the group their proudest nursing moment? And it doesn't even have to be something that you think would necessarily be like a huge aha moment for other people, but just even something personal to you that, was a proud nursing moment for yourself.
So, when I was a baby nurse way back in 1972 and 73, I was made to work the night shift because that was the only position available. And I decided if I was going to work night shift, I was going to work in the ICU. And but my fear was that if they were going to float somebody, that I said I'll be the one that's going to float because I don't want to take the responsibility of being in an ICU as a brand new grad. Well, after about a few months of working in that unit, and it came time for people to float. I mean, I did float a fair amount, but there came a point when an older experienced nurse, they would float her because they liked my work better than her work. So that was kind of a proud moment for me, knowing that they put that much trust in me as a new grad, just a few months out of school, working the night shift in the ICU. And I was basically the senior nurse because I was the full-time nurse. So that was, that just spoke a lot to me about, my abilities.
Right.
That
Well,
is that is very impressive for sure. Yeah. I would definitely be that would be my proudest moment also.
So I'll just share a little proud moment. And, I wouldn't say that it's a hugely provocative proud moment, but I had moments like this that happened every day that were really important to me. So being in the operating room as a circulating nurse, your job is to assist anesthesia with essentially putting the patient to sleep and during intubation. And I always tried really, really hard to make sure the room was quiet and I was focused completely on that patient. And I would, with every patient, usually hold their hand and and you're right there next to him, very, very close to him. And some people had had lots of operations, weren't scared. And then you had a lot of other people that were scared, crying, really anxious. And so we had a thing called warm eyes. And so because we have masks on, and so all the patients can see are your eyes. So every time we were putting a patient to sleep, I made sure that I was fully present in that moment, that the room was calm, it was not chaotic, and that I was giving that patient warm eyes and giving them the most amount of comfort that I could give them um, before they went to sleep. I'd like to think that that had something to do with, some positive outcome. Whether or not that's true, I don't know. But it always just made me feel good to know that I was sending these people, off to dreamland with hopefully, a sense of comfort and positivity during what could be a really scary time for them. So I wouldn't say it's my proudest nursing moment, but that's definitely a nursing moment that I had with patients that I am proud of. So
I worked in the OR for a lot of years, and when I was thinking about my proudest moment, that was actually the first moment that came to mind for me. Was I had the same experience, and I even had a patient one time tell me, "You are so kind, and your touch means so much to me." And it was
right.
like, that just really touched me.
Yes, it does. I didn't always hold people's hands, but it's funny because I had people that would come in and, they'd look at me and go, I know you don't know me, but will you hold my hand? Of course I will. So,
I would always ask permission. Do you want someone to hold your hand while you're going to sleep? And most of the time they would say yes.
yeah. Okay. Well, unless anyone has anything else they would like to share, we can just move forward here. Oh, it says, Linda wrote, I found a sink that kept running and was flooding the floor and would cause the patient to fall if they used the bathroom. I used ventilator hosing and duct tape and ran the water from the sink into the toilet and then mopped up the water to keep any patient from falling due to flooding and slipping. Oh my. Where was that
See,
at,
this is why
Linda?
I love nurses, because nurses can think outside the box. They're like, there's a problem. How are we going to fix it? I got it. That's awesome.
Long-term care. Oh my goodness. And those are the last people you want falling. Oh, well, and it's so funny because, typical nurses too, it's not even necessarily directly, that related to, a patient, care tasks right there, but just making sure that your patients are safe in general and, whatever hat that might be. And that day it was a handyman hat. Oh, well, that's excellent. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and move forward here. So like I said, this class is for both RNs and LPNs. After attending today's training, the nurse will be able to understand how to complete the nurse competency program in My Learning. The overarching objectives of today's content can be distilled into these 6 objectives you guys see on your screen here. Identify resources to strengthen nursing professionalism, utilize available technology for care delivery, provide care to a patient in an emergency, administer medications, vaccines, locate training materials for nursing clinical skills, and facilitate a patient visit. Peace Health Medical Group is proud and supportive of our nurses, and we are excited to offer a core competency program developed to support our nurses in providing high quality care. This program rolled out in January 2021 to all existing nurses and is now being assigned on hire to all new and transferring nurses to help guide them through orientation and ensure a baseline level of expected competence in our nursing caregivers. The core competency program contains 6 competencies that cover the breadth of nursing function in the ambulatory setting. The competencies include nursing professionalism, technology for care delivery, emergency management, medication and vaccine administration, nursing clinical skills, nursing role in the patient visit. So the core competencies are the backbone of today's training. However, education is not the same thing as validation. So after attending today's training, you will need to complete the validation portion of these competencies in your clinic setting, and someone within your clinic will be identified to complete the validation in My Learning as appointed by your manager. This person doesn't need to be a lead, but does need to be a nurse. RNs can validate RNs or LPNs, and LPNs can validate LPNs. So today we will be focusing on nursing professionalism and access to your resources, so you all have the information you need to complete the program. Accompanying the skills checklist is a resource and links guide that with a ton of information that you guys can review on your own as needed. Does everyone have their competency skills checklist or know where to find those?
And I will show you later on in class if you guys don't have it. Oh, perfect. Looks like people
Yeah.
have it. Okay.
Okay. All right. So the competency validation is assigned through My Learning, and it's due 90 days from the date of the assignment. So each of the 6 competencies within the core competency program is to be validated individually to complete the program. Nursing professionalism, technology for care delivery, and emergency management are required for all nurses. Nurses are to complete the medication and vaccine administration, nursing clinical skills, and nursing role in patient visit only if the competencies are required as a primary job function. Existing nurses, well, I don't think we have any existing. So the newly hired nurses or transferring nurses, once all competency objectives are initialed or marked NA where appropriate, the paper copy is to be given to the clinic mentor or validator to complete in My Learning. Printing a paper copy is also super helpful to see what items are complete, what needs action, and so that you can communicate with your validator. Once validation is completed in My Learning, the paper copy of the core competencies can be placed in your employee file by your manager. And I would also recommend keeping a copy for yourself as well. So competency confirmation methods are used to measure the abilities of an individual for a specific competency objective. Competency verification can take many forms within the overall competency process. A single method of verification can never effectively capture all 3 of the domains of skill: technical, critical thinking, and interpersonal. Validation methods to be used to confirm competency for the nurse core competencies are return demonstration. This is considered the gold standard for nursing assessment, and it's great for measuring technical skill. It can be used during real-time observation, during patient care, or also in a simulated environment. It requires that the validator have a standard set of guidelines or criteria for evaluation. Then we have self-assessment, which can be used to measure some critical thinking skills, especially those associated with values and beliefs. Self-assessment engages caregivers in a reflective exercise that allows the caregiver to explore some of the thoughts that influence our day-to-day judgments. And it can also be used to identify gaps in knowledge. If a knowledge gap is identified, it is the caregiver's responsibility to gain the necessary knowledge from an appropriate resource. We have peer review, which can be used to measure interpersonal skills as well as critical thinking skills. Validator can be a manager, supervisor, peer, clinician who would have current knowledge of the nurse's skill level from working directly with the nurse. Then we have evidence of daily work, which is assessing the actions that caregivers demonstrate is a valid form of competency assessment and does not require time outside of your normal workday. A validator can be a manager, supervisor, peer, or clinician. We have case study discussion. This can be used to measure critical thinking skills. It can also provide an example of a patient situation, listen to the caregiver, and discuss how they would handle the event. Again, the validator can be a manager, supervisor, peer, or clinician. And lastly, we have mock event. So this can only be used to measure a caregiver's ability to carry out a job function that happens infrequently in the clinic setting. So this would be a medical emergency event, emotionally distressed patient response, something along those lines. And only caregivers who actively participate in a mock event can use it for competency validation. Just attending the event is not enough. The validator can be the person facilitating the mock event. So the reason that we feel confident to use self-assessment as a primary validation method for our existing nurses is because nurses by license are required to be accountable for their own knowledge. On this slide, you can see a little snippet from the Oregon State Board of Nursing, but this is a sentiment that rings true across nursing. It is our professional accountability to practice within the laws and rules governing the practice of nursing at the level the nurse is licensed. Ensure competency in the cognitive and technical aspects of a nursing intervention or a nursing procedure prior to its performance. Self-regulate our own practice by adhering to professional practice and performance standards. Remove oneself from practice when unable to practice with professional skill and safety. So in today's class, we will be showing you guys where to locate our standards of practice at Peace Health and where the training material lives so you can meet the expectations of the competency program. But we aren't going to necessarily be going into depth over any particular skill. So who can tell me what evidence-based practice is? Anybody?
So it's a practice that's based upon previous studies and experiences and proven to be effective.
Yes. So evidence-based practice is the process of collecting, processing, and implementing research findings to improve clinical practice, the work, environment, or patient outcomes. So very much what you said, Maria, and utilizing the evidence-based practice approach to nursing practice also helps us to provide the highest quality and most cost-efficient patient care possible. So I think it's pretty obvious why evidence-based practice is so important to nursing practice. Just on the meaning of it alone, I think it explains a lot. Okay. Then we have the ANA standards of practice. So standards of care or standards of practice in nursing are general guidelines that provide a foundation as to how a nurse should act and what he or she should and should not do in his or her professional capacity. Deviating from this standard can result in certain legal implications. So nursing assessment is the gathering of information about a patient's psychological, physiological, sociological, and spiritual status by a licensed registered nurse. Nursing assessment is the first step in the nursing process. Deviating from the standard can result in certain legal implications. A nursing diagnosis may be part of the nursing process and is a clinical judgment about individual, family, or community experience, or responses to actual or potential health problems or life processes. Outcome identification is formulating and documenting measurable, realistic, and client-focused goals that will provide the basis for evaluating nursing diagnosis. The planning stage is where goals and outcomes are formulated that directly impact patient care based on evidence-based practice guidelines. These patient-specific goals and the attainment of such assist in ensuring a positive outcome. Nursing care plans are essential in this phase of goal setting. Implementation is the step which involves action or doing and the actual carrying out of the nursing interventions outlined in the plan of care. Evaluation, the final step of the nursing process, is crucial to determine whether after application of the nursing process, the client's condition or well-being improves. The nurse conducts evaluation measures to determine if expected outcomes are met, not the nursing interventions. Okay, and this brings us right into professional development. So if everybody wants to pull out their competency packet, the first one is nursing professionalism. And as we go through this section, please just review the competency elements. So as we mentioned earlier, you own your own learning and only you can empower you as far as self-directed learning. And so this kind of goes over the validation methods for nursing professionalism, self-assessment, peer review. Then professional development, the focus of professional development is on these topics: leadership, autonomy, delegation, collaboration, teamwork, communication, scope, and education. So there's a saying that if you want to lead, invest 40% of your time in leading yourself. That's by Dee Hock, the founder of Visa. Successful leaders empower others by delegating power and sharing their influence, position, and power with others. So we're going to take a minute to look into this video, Everyday Leadership with Drew Dudley. Rachel's posted the YouTube link in the chat window, or you are welcome to try the link in the slide. So I'm going to have everyone go ahead and watch that video. And when you're done, just when you come back, if you just want to post a thumbs up or something in the chat window so that I know that everybody's back before I continue, we'll go ahead and watch that video now. Okay, so it looks like we have all finished the video. I really like that video. Um, so when we talk about role models or informal leaders, it's really important that we're always looking to ourselves and we're asking ourselves, what kind of leader am I, or what kind of leader are you? Do you encourage others to do their best, or do you take on responsibility to do your best to outperform others? Do you criticize others to make yourself look good, or do you gain trust and influence others by helping others and sharing your expertise? When things go wrong, do you blame others, or do you work with your team to fix the problems together? When the problem is your fault, do you admit your mistakes? Do you give credit to your teammates for a job well done or problem solve even when they are struggling? Or do you take credit for yourself to highlight your own abilities? Do you volunteer for work even if it is out of your comfort zone? Do you take on higher level risky work even if you may fail but learn in the process? Or do you take the easy work knowing you will succeed? So, if everybody wants to just think about the best leader that you've ever worked with or a person that made a huge difference in your life, that lollipop moment. Conversely, did someone ever let you know how you impacted their life? There are three qualities that transformational leaders have: self-awareness, self-reflection, and self-regulation. Self-awareness, um, you're going to ask for feedback from the team, character traits. What's the worst leader you've ever had? What did that person do? Say it's withholding information. Then check yourself. Do you withhold information? Just be aware of what habits or actions as a leader that you do, either good or bad. And then self-reflection is a tool that, a 5-minute self-reflection can help raise your level of compassion, as well as self-regulation, which is reframing. Take a step back. How important is this issue? I think it's really important to really, just in daily life, have self-awareness, self-reflection, and self-regulation. So I'm going to ask everyone now to come off mute or to go to the chat window and just tell me a lollipop moment. Um, Tell me about someone that impacted your life or someone that was the best leader you've ever had. And if you're really struggling to come up with something, you can even tell us about, after listening to this, about qualities of bad leaders. Was there a leader that wasn't so great, and why weren't they a great leader? Just anything you guys want to share involving leadership would be great.
So I have a story about a leader that was not so great. When I was a nurse at another hospital, we were out. We didn't have a CNO, and so we contracted a CNO from, I don't even remember where she was from, but she came in, and our very first, she pulled together a staff meeting, and this is how she introduced herself. I can't even remember her name. I can remember her face and everything, but I cannot remember her name. She introduces herself and she says, I went into nursing to go into management and not to nurse. So I am telling you now, I will never help you on the floor. I will never. And we are all just sitting there with her. And we were at it was a 25-bed critical access hospital. And so all nurses were hands on. If there was anything, all nurses came from everywhere, care managers, diabetic educators. It did not matter if there was a code in the ER and you were an RN, you were going. And so when she introduced herself that way, she could have been probably the best CNO we ever had, but we never gave her a chance after that introduction. So that was probably one of my worst leaders that I think I've ever had.
Oh my goodness. I can imagine people's jaws were on the floor
Yeah.
with that introduction.
And if it was maybe a bigger hospital, it might have been okay because CNOs don't usually go in and do hands-on, but in a 25-bed critical access hospital, everybody is hands-on. It
Right.
doesn't matter. Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else want to share? Okay. So we'll just move forward here. So next we're going to be looking at autonomy. Part of leadership is the ability to work with autonomy and higher functioning teams, are those teams whose members are empowered to do so. Autonomy drives engagement and gives ownership to work. Autonomy means that you shape your work environment so you can perform to the best of your ability. Autonomy is not working in isolation, doing what you want whenever you want, or a lack of guidance. An autonomous workplace is based on trust, respect, dependability, and integrity. Pay attention and listen to what teammates are saying, as they have a different and valuable perspective on where the gaps and weaknesses are. Then develop plans to change processes, communications, or anything else that can improve your clinic and lead to greater success. Autonomy done well fosters resilience. When teammates feel they have a say, they respond better to change and challenges. So we're going to have another sharing moment here again. So share a time when you were given the reins. How did that make you feel? Did you collaborate with others? What were the successes? What were your opportunities for improvement? So does anyone want to come off of mute and share a time when they were given the reins or autonomy? And how did that make you feel?
So there's been several times throughout my career where I was put into leadership positions. It made me feel valued that I was given the responsibility. And this is Maria speaking. And I was hired for a very small hospital. It was when I was working in the OR. And the director that they had originally hired, this was a new facility, it was like less than 6 months old. Their original OR director was quit or let go. I'm not sure which of the two, but anyway, I was hired to take that person's position. And when I went to that place, the way that it was set up was just so disorganized, I could hardly function. So I had to make changes, because if you can't function as a leader, I just wasn't sure how the staff could function. So it came time to reorganize basically the supply room and the way the instruments were being done. So change is hard. And so basically I went into the supply room and I set it up according to how I felt the flow was better. And it was a small crew. So I told them that they had to live with it for a month. And after a month, they had to write down whatever they couldn't live with. And at that point, we would then look to see how we could make it better. Well, it was kind of funny. There was a lot of complaining in the beginning, but then by the end of the month, and it was time to review to see if there was something they would want to change, really nobody had any suggestions for changing it, because it seemed like once they got used to it, it actually worked better. So that was kind of my story of one of the positions that I took over, and had to make changes and how we went about it.
But it sounds like in the end, everybody was on board and was glad with the changes.
Yes, they were.
Good. And then it looks like Sophie's typing something, so we'll just give that a second here. And while she's typing, I'm just going to say, if you want your teammates to be on board with the project, you have to give them some ownership, because if people don't feel that they're part of the initiative, then they are likely going to go through the motions just doing the bare minimum. So if you know a team member has a specific skill or experience that would be valuable for a project, or anything you have going on, then encourage them to share their knowledge and to lead, because this kind of autonomy can jumpstart a project and lets the team member know their input is valued. Mistakes do happen. So when mistakes are made, I think responding in a way that allows teammates to learn and grow while still holding them accountable is best. They're able to find the lesson in the mistake to drive learning, development, and innovation. Reacting to mistakes with condescension, I don't think I can say that word. But reacting to mistakes with anger drives fear and squelches innovation. Sophie said, "At first I was nervous to be in a leadership position. Teamwork definitely makes you feel more confident." Yes. And I'll say, I think anytime you're in a leadership position, you have to, when you initially come in, really lean on your team, because you need to be accepted by your team. Because if you're not accepted by your team, then you're not going to have a team. And, part of autonomy is, having a team that works well together with each person being a stakeholder. So I think it's really important.
I think I just want to add to the, my story. I've always been a hands-on leader, even though I had to kind of take charge of how to do the reorganization. I was working down at the staff level, right alongside of the staff, and I always have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that, like I said, anytime you have a team, I think that it's best. I mean, I went into the operating room as a charge nurse, and I had people that had worked there for 30 years. And so I knew when I came in and took charge that I needed these people on my side because they had a lot more experience and knew a lot more than I did. And I knew that part of my success was also their success. And so I think that anytime that you can get your team all working together, it's such a positive outcome. Okay, so we're going to move into autonomy and motivation. We have 3 innate psychological needs: competence, autonomy, and relatedness. Research shows that the secret to high performance isn't our biological drive or our reward and punishment drive, but our third drive, our deep-seated desire to direct our own lives, to extend and expand our abilities, and to live a life of purpose. Team members hold the opportunity for growth and learning at an unprecedented standard. So people want to become the best versions of themselves, and companies that let them do this are companies that attract the best talent. The end goal of employee autonomy at work is for each member of your team to have the opportunity to learn and develop in their role, adding to their personal success and the success of the team at large. If any of you guys are looking for a good read, Daniel Pink, Drive: The Surprising Truth About What Motivates Us is an excellent book, and I highly recommend it. So this is a comic on delegation. I'm going to give you guys just a moment to read this comic, and then I will talk to you about delegation. Okay. So what kind of delegator are you? Let's talk about a time that you were delegated a task that did not go as you anticipated. It could have maybe even gone a little bit like this comic. Were you able to reflect and identify what went wrong with your process? So I'm going to give you guys a scenario. You've been helping a patient organize his pill box weekly for several months. Your work obligations have increased and now require you to focus on working to the top of your licensure. Therefore, this task needs to be delegated to another team member. I would like you guys to describe how you would effectively delegate this task. So you're welcome to come off mute, put it in the chat window, whatever is most comfortable or works for you with your situation, and just tell me how you would effectively delegate this task. And I'll just kind of read it again. You have been helping a patient organize his pill box weekly for several months. Your work obligations have increased and now require you to focus on working to the top of your licensure. Therefore, this task needs to be delegated to another team member. How would you effectively delegate this task? So Maria wrote, find out who would like to do it and then train them to do the task and verify competence to complete the task. Okay. Linda said, I would ask the med aid or family member to assist with the patient care. I'll just give another minute here for Sophie. I would explain the situation to another person that is licensed to do this task. Make sure they understand how to do it and be available for any questions. Okay. So delegation is the act or process of delegating or being delegated. Delegating is not passing the baton. Its follow-up and feedback is an expectation. So we're going to watch a little video here on delegation. Rachel has posted it in the chat window. So before we go any further, I'll have you guys go ahead and watch this video and then just go ahead and give me the thumbs up when you're back and we will continue the discussion. Okay, so it looks like we're all done watching the movie or video. So after covering the 8 steps to effective delegation of task and watching that video, think back on the delegation scenario we just talked about on the previous slide. And would you have delegated differently? After watching this, did you find opportunities for improvement? If so, what were they and how would that affect patient outcomes? How do you think the way you delegate affects your teammates? Does it instill confidence, trust? Does it empower? Those are all questions that we should be asking ourselves because delegation is just one part of working with a multidisciplinary team. And there is much more, which will bring us to our next topic, collaboration. Collaboration within a multidisciplinary team requires not only effective communication skills, listening and speaking concisely in a respectful manner, but knowing the roles and scope of each team member as well as their strengths. This includes the ability to work with autonomy, knowing how to delegate appropriately, and working to the top of your license. Sharing knowledge to support good patient outcomes as well as growth and development of individual members. Does anyone want to share an experience of a time when you were in a highly functioning team or conversely, a low functioning team? What did that look like? What were the driving factors for success or dysfunction? And how did that impact the workplace and patient outcomes? If you guys don't have any work experiences, you're more than welcome to share experiences from your personal life. But if just a time when you were, it could be a healthcare team or like we said, a personal thing, not a healthcare team, but you were a part of a team that was either very highly functioning or low functioning. You can put it into the chat window or come off of mute, whatever works best for you. So I'm just going to give you guys a minute here to see who wants to share.
There was a team that I worked with in the ER that I know that no matter what kind of night we had in front of us, no matter what walked into those doors, I knew that it was going to be okay because we all respected each other's positions, and it didn't matter, our even down to, it was our housekeeper. I knew that my housekeeper was going to get rooms switched over quickly for me. My ED tech was going to be one step ahead of me and help me get things that I needed. If a patient needed EKG, they would already have that rolled into the room. And then our physician that would work the ER with us, I knew that as soon as I called him, because I worked night shift, he was going to be right there, and I wouldn't have to call him 2 or 3 times. And so we could literally just have a look and know what each other needed. And it was I oh, I could have had the worst night in those ER rooms, but with a team like that, it didn't matter. It was amazing.
I love when you have teamwork like that because it almost doesn't, like you said, you could have the worst night. It really doesn't even matter what you're doing, but if you have a solid team, you can make the best out of any situation or find humor in it or whatever you need to get through it. And so that's awesome. Okay, it looks like Linda wrote, high functioning. Working a COVID-19 vaccine clinic ran smoothly. Patients were in, seated, vaccinated, watched for side effects, and then let go. The team ran like a well-oiled clock.
Now
And
that's amazing because that is COVID-19 vaccines just literally have not been out that long. And so to have a team run that well, that quickly is amazing.
Mhm. Okay. Unless anybody else has anything they want to share, I'm going to move forward here. So communication. 55% of communication is nonverbal, 7% is spoken word, and 38% of communication is tone. We speak about effective communication all the time, but do we ever take the time to reflect on our own communication style, when it goes well and when it doesn't? How well do you listen? Share a time when you received feedback, verbal or nonverbal, good or bad, as a direct result of your communication style in the moment. So I'll just share a time. It was actually during nursing school, and this is going to speak to the 55% nonverbal communication. And I sat down for a review with one of the faculty that was definitely, she was an older, very old school nurse. She was tough, and I wouldn't say that she was super well liked. I liked her very much, but she was she didn't mince words with people. And I had this review with her, and I was super nervous because I knew what a tough critic she could be. And this review goes well. Everything in the review is great. And I'm going, oh, great. Oh, whew. And she looks at me and she said, the only thing that I have to say to you that I would really like you to work on is you never smile. And I'm looking at her and I'm thinking, I never smile? She said, every time I see you walking down the halls in the hospital, in the school, it doesn't matter where you are, you never have a smile on your face. In fact, you look grumpy. And I thought, oh my goodness. Well, when you're talking about, our facial expressions, even, I mean, that's nonverbal communication, and that accounts for over half of communication. And so ever since then, I have taken that to heart and really made an effort to not necessarily, fake smile everywhere, but I know for myself what happens is I'm constantly thinking about things and I have things going on in my head. And so it's not that I'm choosing not to smile, it's that I'm literally thinking about things in my brain at whatever any given moment. And so for me, I've had to really put effort into just being present in whatever moment that I'm in and be cognizant of my facial expressions and what those are saying, because when I'm walking around not smiling all the time, I don't look very approachable to people, and that's a problem. So that's my little.
That's hilarious, Sasha. I never would have thought that. Mine is I'm a very small person. I'm 5'1", so I'm not tall at all, but I have a very big and loud personality. And that can rub people the wrong way a lot. And so I have been told that people are intimidated by me because I come across so much. There's so much of me in this tiny little body. And so I have had to learn how to tone that down, and that has been very, very hard. But I do have people that will tell me, Rachel, you need to tone it down, and I very much appreciate that. So if you guys ever see it, feel free to tell me that I need to tone it down, and I will appreciate it, and I will not take offense because I know.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. So just so you know, Rachel, I'm 5'9", so you and I would be quite a pair.
Yes, yes, we would.
Oh my goodness.
So I learned at a very young age. I was in high school, and my advisor, my counselor, whatever you want to call that person, he was talking to me. Like, it was my senior year, and about what my plans were for the future. And I told him I was going to go into nursing school. But anyway, what he ended up telling me at the very end was, you know, Maria, what you need to be aware of is that you could kill somebody with the looks that you give them. And I thought, okay then. And
Right.
it made me really aware of what I say with my eyes, because my eyes are very expressive.
Isn't it amazing? I mean, even your eyes, my smile. I mean, Rachel even talked about her size. it's amazing how, you know, when we think of communication, we're thinking about talking and how much of it is not talking. And I find it really interesting that all of our stories were based on, you know, a lot of nonverbal communication. Sophie writes, during reviews, I have been told that I could work on my confidence. So again, that's a nonverbal communication style. Lack of confidence can definitely play a negative role in nonverbal and verbal communication. So confidence is something I am actively working on. You know, Sophie, and as a new nurse, that's you know, it's hard to feel confident about something that you maybe don't know a lot about or you're new to. I mean, it's no different than starting a new job. You know, you're not confident in what you're doing, so you're going, oh gosh. Um, so I can definitely, I think that that's normal, and I've been there, and I too know what that feels like. And one thing that I always tell nurses, new nurses, when I would do preceptorship in the OR or anywhere, is fake it till you make it. That doesn't mean go out and do things you shouldn't do, or if there's something you really don't know how to do, you know, communicate that. But I mean, fake it till you make it as far as exuding that confidence, because people do pick up on that. But that'll come to you naturally as you learn more in your role too.
And another thing, oh, sorry, I was just
No,
going to
go
point
ahead.
one thing out about new nurses that I absolutely love is that you have all the newest, all my information that I got in school was 10 years old, and probably 80% of it has changed, right? And so you have the newest information to share with other people that you can say, oh, in school I learned about it this way. And then so you never know what you can teach someone just being out of school.
Yes.
Yeah, and you have all the best new toys. That's true. That is also very true. I'm jealous.
So, like we talked about with communication, the elements of communication, the nonverbal, posture, gestures, facial expression, use of space, and then with the verbal, speaking that so others want to listen, uh, honesty, authenticity, integrity, love. Then we go to listen, being attentive to what is being said and how it is said, documentation, appropriate and inappropriate, and then just crucial conversations. Um, and then the hands, really listen, keep it short, ask questions, notice body language, play back and summarize. I think those are all really great examples for communication. Julian Treasure from TED Talks, she has many good talks about communication and effective listening. And she always says to, you know, remember silence is also a method of communication. And that's true. So I would recommend Julian from TED Talks for any further, you know, if anyone's interested in learning more about communication and effective listening. And the last thing I'll say about this, because I am very, very guilty of this, is I think one of the most important things with communication is also listening. And when we say listening, I don't mean listening to respond, because that's something that I have to work on all the time. I have a tendency to listen to respond, and that's not really listening either. So I am always mindful of when I'm listening to someone, and I find myself formulating my response as they're talking, and I'm like, I'm not listening to listen, I'm listening to respond. To really hear what this person's saying, I need to listen to listen. So that's my last little piece, because I think that's important, because then we're not really hearing what people are saying. Okay. Next, we're going to talk about scope of practice. So how does working within scope and to the top of licensure pull together collaboration, communication, autonomy, and delegation? Well, we're going to watch a short video on this. Let me see if I can post it. I don't know if it will let me. It looks like Rachel's going to post it. There she did. So you can try clicking on the link in the slide, or Rachel posted in the chat box. So I'll have you guys go ahead and watch this video and then just give me a thumbs up when you're back and we'll continue.
Right? Isn't that Russian doll that Russian doll just totally makes sense now with scope of practice and top of licensure. Just, you know, that if somebody who has a smaller license than me, they fit right into my Russian doll and I can do everything they can do. So I wish we could do this in person and give everybody we need to give everybody a lollipop and a Russian doll to remember about the lollipop
Aw.
moments and your Russian dolls.
I like that.
Maybe one day when we get back in person.
One day. Okay, and we're going to go right out of scope of practice into education. So what does nurse as educator mean to you? Who do you educate? So informal leader role, look for opportunities to educate. Nurses fill those spaces between. We close the treatment gap. We educate and work with the patient on how they will accomplish the task once the clinician has diagnosed and prescribed. As educators, we fill in gaps for the patient. As leaders, we fill in gaps for each other and our team. As autonomous adult learners, we fill in our own gaps. As communicators, we translate information from one language to another, clinician to patient. I don't teach for obvious reasons. I teach to save lives. Ambulatory nurses play a tremendous role in preventing 30-day readmissions. So we are also going to play another video here. Oh,
No, we don't have any more videos in your section, I think.
we don't?
Nope. No,
Oh.
you're good.
Close all tabs. No. Oh, it went to a YouTube.
Oh, we can still see your screen.
Correct. But it's pretty and hard to read. It undermines the writer's message and the word choice is bland.
I can
right.
hear your YouTube.
All right, well, we'll skip that. You can just see my slide now, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay, so back to professional development. What do you identify with most on this model? Where do you see opportunity for your own professional development? ANA is the nursing Bible for professionalism. We want to inspire and encourage you to advance your career to grow through professional development. Be adult learners, be autonomous, function at the top of your scope, use your resources, and learn what that means in your area. Drive, autonomy, mastery, purpose in your work. Smooth seas don't make skillful sailors. Any wave you face is an opportunity, not an obstacle. An opportunity to learn about yourself, prove your strength, develop new skills, become wiser, and ride the wave. So, and as you see on the slide, how we serve together, the caregiver and leadership models. We have the attributes, the job functions, and then the behavioral standards in the center. Okay, and then these are the resources that we talked about on professional development, the TED Talks. There's some podcasts. And we will, I believe these resources will be emailed to you guys at the end of the session. Is that right, Rachel?
Yes, and I already have the email ready to go.
Perfect. Okay, and now that brings us to technology for care delivery, and Rachel's actually going to present this to you guys, so I'm going to hand it off to her.
All right, perfect. Thank you. And there's my PowerPoint. All right, can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
And why it went all the way to the beginning? 1 second. Professional development. There we go. We'll start here. Okay. So technology for care delivery. So this is going to be, we're going to go over resources that we have available for you, so that you can do your job easier, or that you can find resources to know how to maybe perform a skill you haven't performed in a while, or find our standing orders and anything like that. So this is what we're going to do. Do any of you have double monitors? If you could throw if you have 2 or 1 in the chat, how many monitors you have. Oh, good. Oh, beautiful. Yay, you all have 2. So after we go over a couple of these slides, I'm going to have you guys go ahead and pull up Internet Explorer and I'm going to have you guys follow along so that you guys can either bookmark a few sites that I'm going to show you, and that you know where these things are that I'm going to show you. So great. Okay, so technology for care delivery. So these competencies are going to be at the clinic level. So things like, where is your fax machine, and how to use your phone system, right? And there are quite a few electronic resources that we are going to go over. Validation methods, again, you guys can all self-validate, that you do a self-assessment, that you can find these different items that I am going to show you. So we do have a couple of classes. Do we have anyone that is going to be doing triage? Telephone triage, anybody?
I will in Florence.
Okay, good, good. So we there is a telephone triage class that would be good for you to sign up right now. We usually have a 2-day class, which is important, which is when it's in person. And right now, when we are doing online classes, there's going to be a 4-hour class. So it's going to be really important for you who are going to be doing telephone triage to sign up for that class. And I'll show you how to find that class later. There's also a mentor class that would be good for you to go to as leaders in your clinic. You know, you may not have the formal title, but as RNs and LPNs, you definitely are going to be seen as a leader in your clinic. And then, are there any? I don't believe there were any care managers. Were there any care managers on here today? I don't recall any care managers. So there's also a care management class that we do offer. So now I'm going to go ahead and give you a guided tour over my learning, Crossroads, and our education page. So if you want to open up either Chrome or Internet Explorer on your other page, that would be great, and follow along. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. And going to share screen too. Okay. So give me a thumbs up when you have this this page, Crossroads, open. Let me know. Okay. Great. So we all see Crossroads. So our Crossroads may look a little different than each other's, because right now I'm in Southwest. So it just all depends on where you are, but it will all have the same nuts and bolts for everybody. Everything that I show you, it's no matter where you are, you'll be able to find it. So the first thing I do want to show you is in My Learning, where I'm going to have everyone who is going to be doing telephone triage go ahead and enroll in the telephone triage class. And just make sure your manager or supervisor knows that you enrolled in the telephone triage class and when the date is, and that it's going to take 4 hours, just so that they can make sure that you're able to attend that. So go ahead and click on My Learning right here. And then in the keywords anywhere in these boxes, just go ahead and type in telephone triage. And then you will see that it pulls up. So it's this top one, PHMG, telephone triage as a professional nursing practice. So it's going to be that guy. So give me a thumbs up when you have this page pulled up. And this is how you enroll for any class, class that you would like to attend. Go ahead.
This is Maria. They've already got me enrolled in it. It's on my list.
Yay! I'm glad. Yeah, that's awesome. Good. But this is, if you needed to attend another class, this is how you would enroll. So you would just pick a date that you can attend and go ahead and hit enroll. I'm not going to select it because I don't want to take up a seat. So for any of you that are going to be doing telephone triage, go ahead and enroll. I will select it because there is one, confirm enrollment. So then you would select confirm enrollment. I'm going to go ahead and cancel. And then that means that you're enrolled for that. And just make sure you tell your supervisor manager that the date and time that you are going to be taking that.
So I have a question.
Yes.
I had a class that I was supposed to be on yesterday, and for
Mhm.
some reason I could not get into it. So can I just pull that back up and enroll and see
What
when it comes up next time?
what class was that? Do you know?
Well, it was it was on my learning, and it was the CCO PH nurse template.
Oh, so it was
Ambulatory.
a Care Connect class. It was your Care Connect
Yes.
class.
Yeah.
Okay, so that you can't self-enroll in. You're going to have your manager
Okay.
set that up for you again. Yeah, with the Care Connect training. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so and now we're going to go back to our home page. So mine says Southwest Home, but yours might say something else home. Go ahead and click on that. And so do you all remember safety stops, safe to share? Do you remember that when you were going over NCO, PSO earlier this week? Yes. Okay, good. Good, good. And so we talked about reporting a safety stop or reporting even if something wasn't going to be called a safety stop, maybe it was a near miss or something like that that you wouldn't necessarily call a safety stop, you would still report the incident. So the way you would do that is report incident, and it would be right here, patient, visitor, and caregiver variance. Go ahead and click that. And then it brings us to our safe to share. So one thing that is good that you don't know, oh, do I report this or do I not report this? There's actually a link right here that tells you exactly what you should report and safe to share. And I will go ahead and click on it. You don't have to, but it's a nice long list of everything that should be reported to safe to share. You can either report, if you click on Safe to Share Login, we'll click on that. You can either submit it anonymously or go ahead and log in. I'm just going to hit Submit Anonymously so that you can see what this looks like. And when you log in, it's just plain username and login to get into the computer. So these are all the different things that you would want to report in Safe to share. So if a patient had an adverse reaction, say you got a needle stick or something happened with a visitor or if a patient fall. So all of these, you would just go ahead and click on whatever button you think it is. And you would just fill out this form right here and then hit submit down at the bottom. So it is fairly simple to report something on Safe to Share. So for every safety stop, you have to fill this out. But if you aren't gonna, but you don't need to do a safety stop for every time you fill this out. Does that make sense? Clear as mud. So if you're going to call a safety stop, make sure you fill this out. But if you just need to fill it out for something, but it doesn't need to be a safety stop, you don't need to call a safety stop. But it's just still fill this out. Okay, we're going to go ahead and arrow on back till we get back to Crossroads. So let me know if you get lost. Give me a thumbs up when you get back to Crossroads for me. And if you ever do get lost, it's always good to click on the window down here and just hit on Crossroads and it will open up Crossroads again. So if you ever do get lost, that's my cheat right there. Okay, so everybody's back. The next thing that I want to show you is under No Coronavirus. So if we click on that, And please let me know if I'm going too fast for you. I've taught this section quite a lot, and so sometimes I can go a little fast. And then once we get here, we'll go down to Peace Health Medical Group. And here we have our COVID handbook and our COVID vaccine handbook. So this is going to have everything that you need to know about the COVID vaccine, the two that we offer, Moderna and Pfizer. So how to prepare it, when to give it, how long, the time limit between the two doses. And just everything that you're going to need. Also, the PHMG COVID handbook. So this is going to have everything that you need to know about COVID, maybe what PPE we need to wear for during what procedure, scheduling guidelines. So all of these are hot links that if you just click on it, it will take you to that section. And in both of these handbooks, one thing that I like to tell everyone to kind of pay attention to is the new information. Both of these handbooks have this, and it will tell you when it was updated and what was changed and what page it is on. So both the vaccine handbook and the COVID-19 handbook have this blue box at the top. So it's a really good thing to just every now and then, if you've had a few days off, go ahead and pop into this and see if they updated anything new. So we will go back to home. So we'll click on our home page. One thing that I want to tell you, this next thing is important because this could possibly make you more money. So that usually makes it all ears. Everybody's always listening when I say you can get more money. So the next thing I want to tell you about is key certifications. So these are certifications that if they find that the certification would be helpful in your position, you can get a annual 2% of your salary check one time a year, as long as you hold that certification, just in your pocket. So I'm going to show you where you can see that list to see what certifications pertain to you. So we are going to go to My HR. And then go ahead and go to My Benefits and My Benefit Enrollment. And then under My Info, you'll see eligible key certifications. So give me a thumbs up if you see that, if you get there. And then go ahead and click on it. Okay, we got one thumbs up I saw. I like it. We're switching it up. And then, okay, yep, there's our last thumbs up. Wonderful. Okay. So I'm sorry if you get motion sick. I'm going to go ahead and scroll down to LPNs. Oh, wait, scroll up. I missed you. Where are you? There you are. So LPNs, I know we have some on the call. These are certifications that you can hold that would that you could get that 2%. But the one thing that I'd like to point out is that if you aren't working with OB, lactation consultant, right? That probably wouldn't count for you. But ask your manager, say, hey, I'm looking at getting a certification. Can you check to make sure that this certification is eligible for me for a key certification to get that 2%? I always encourage all of you to ask your manager before you put in all that work to get that certification, and then you don't. It's always good to have the certifications, right? But it's always nice to get the bonus on top of it. So there's for LPNs right there. And then if we go on down to RNs, RNs, then you're going to look for clinic and lead. So here are your RN ones for clinic and lead. Another thing to look out for is that in this section, so this one, only if you work in wound can you get the certification that it will count for you. And a lot of them don't have it in the red, but I would still ask your manager and supervisor to double check for you to make sure that getting that certification would actually in fact help you get that extra benefit. So any questions on key certifications? But this is pretty cool, right? I was really, and also if you feel that you know of a key certification that should be added, then let your nurse educator know, because one time a year they ask for input to see if we could add any, and then we fill out a form, kind of fight the good fight for you and turn it into HR, and they will either say yes or no. So last year I got a cardiology one verified because we didn't have one for our nurses in cardiology, and so it can't, I put in for 3 of them and they only accepted 1, but hey, that's 33%. So I still think if you can find one that would work for you and it isn't on this list, let your nurse educator know and we will fight the good fight for you. RNs, this is always a good one right here, just the ambulatory care of nursing certification. That's a good one for you to get. Okay, so we're gonna go back to our homepage. Oh, I lied. Okay, so we're just gonna open up one of these tabs that we have open, and we're going to throw in peacehealth.org. So this is our outward facing site that patients can see. And give me a thumbs up or emoji, something that lets me know that you're there. So let me know when you get to peacehealth.org up here and on this page. Okay. We got Linda.
Looks like Sophie's typing. Oh, hers is
Oh,
loading.
it says loading. Okay. And Maria, how are you able to get on this page?
I don't have that particular page. Well, mine looks different.
Your peacehealth.org.
Yeah.
Oh. When you go down to the bottom, does it have health topics A to Z?
Yes.
Okay, well that still works, I guess. Huh, I wonder why yours is different.
I was going to ask you that, Rachel. Because I know our um not outward facing site can be different, but the outward facing site is supposed to look the same for everybody, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
it is. And so that's odd. Huh. So Health Topics A to Z, the one thing that I want to point out for you is that this is patient education on our outward facing site that you can lead patients to, so that they can look at the education, or you could say, okay, we went over the education on health wise in a patient's note for except for whatever you went over with, right? So so say a patient has asthma, you go ahead and click on that, or you can always search. And then say it's a teen, or oh, I guess this one's for adults also. And then it gives you all of this patient education that you can give to the patient, or that you can point your patient to and let them know where to find some good education that is not just Googled, right? We want to make sure our patients aren't Googling their symptoms. So that's health wise. peacehealth.org, tell them to go down to the bottom and select the health topics A to Z, this guy. Okay, so we're gonna head on back to our homepage. Oh, 589 matches for Alzheimer's. Wow, there's a lot of education on Alzheimer's. All right. So where I'm going to take you now can be a little tricky. Have any of you guys saved anything to your favorites right here? This green faves or green star or white star, I guess, in a green box. This right here is going to be one of your best friends, because if you save it here, no matter what computer you log into, your favorites are going to follow you. Say if I just start it, that only works for the computer I'm sitting at. And we all know we travel on computers, right? We're not always sitting at the same computer. So I'm going to get you to our education website, and we're going to go ahead and save it to our favorites. And so no matter where you are in this is going to be different for how you find where the education website is. All of us are going to hit the Peace Health Medical Group, and then we're going to go ahead and hit home. So mine is just going to say education, but some of them will say PHMG education. And if you don't see it at all, let me know what it says up here, and I will help you find it.
So mine came up, department references says something went wrong.
Oh, huh. Okay, well, I'm pasting this website. Go ahead and just click on that website and see if you can open it that I threw in the chat.
Yep.
Okay, did it work?
Yes.
Okay. Did everybody find education or PHMG education? Give me a thumbs up if you did. Okay, Sophie did, Maria has it. Okay, Linda, what does it say in this box right here? What does this box say? Peace Harbor. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and go into Peace Harbor, and I will show you where it is. Okay, so we'll do Peace Health Medical Group. We'll go to home. Oh, see, yours is much different. So yours, I believe, no, not that one. Oh, it is. It says education homepage. I believe this is it. Let's just make sure. Yes, yours is education homepage. So all of us should be on a page that looks like this once we've clicked on the education link, right? So give me a thumbs up if you're here. Oh, Linda, where is the link? So, Linda, let me see. Where were you? Linda, what did yours say you were in up here? Oh, Peace Harbor. Oh, I'm sorry, it's the same one. Yours was right under education. Under this one, education homepage right there. That's your link. So go ahead and click on that. And then give me a thumbs up that you got to our education homepage, this page. Okay, beautiful. So I want all of you to copy this address up here, because we're going to make this page a favorite so that you don't have to struggle and try to find it again. And then we're going to go back to our home right here. Go back to that page and click on our faves. And then click on this little toggle right here. So thumbs up when you're at this page. Were you able to find this page? Get to this page, Maria?
No.
Okay, let's go back. Where are you? Are you on Crossroads? Are you on this page? Crossroads?
Well, I was on that page and then I
Okay.
bookmarked and then I clicked on the bookmark.
Okay, we
and-
didn't. Yeah, you don't need to bookmark anything. So what? We just wanted to copy this right here. Copy this page.
Okay.
Let me. Are you on this page still or no?
Yeah, I have that copied.
Okay, so did you copy this? Okay, go back. Do you have your home page right here at the beginning? Do you have the?
Yes, the Peace
where you-
Harbor home.
Yeah, go to
Peace-
that. Click on that.
Okay.
And now do you see your green and white
Yes.
star over here? Okay, click on that and then click on your toggle at the top right. And then you should be here. Did it
Okay.
work?
Now wait a minute. I'm
Okay.
to where my faves. You lost me after there.
Oh, okay. So click on, yep. So you're clicked on faves
Right.
and my favorites and that little toggle.
Oh, the wheel. Okay.
Yep, the wheel. Click on that. And then you should be here. Are you there? Did that work?
Yeah, my list is blank.
Okay, that's fine because I've worked here for 2 years, so my list is full and I
Okay.
hate trying to find things. So I just add everything to even my coupons, save them there. So, everybody's going to select new. And then this is going to pop up. Under user, throw in your 3x3. So there I am. And then we will paste in that hyperlink that we copied. And then in the alternative text, we're going to say PHMG education. And then go ahead and save it. So give me a thumbs up once you've saved it.
I can't get the user to enter my user 3x3.
What is your 3x3?
MARLOS 1.
LOS.
1.
Oh, yours doesn't have a 1 on it, but this is going to be you. So don't throw in the 1. That's
Well,
strange.
I can't even enter anything in there.
When you click in there, you can't?
No, it's not letting me put anything in.
Oh, that's odd.
Oh, and Linda says the same thing.
Huh. Okay. So, okay, Linda. Okay, and so where are you from, Maria? Where
Same
are
place
you
as Linda.
Oh,
Peace-
okay.
Peace
Harbor.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to follow up with your nurse educators to find or ask your manager or somebody. I'm going to go ahead and put the education link in here. You will always have this chat. this chat will always be in your Teams so that you can easily get to it. But this is our education website that you can save later. But ask your manager and supervisor why you're unable to get to save to your favorites.
Okay.
That's strange, huh? Have you ever seen that happen before, Sasha? I've never had anyone have that happen. So, okay, so yes, so ask them, and you can always email me. You can always email your nurse educator or whoever, and say, hey, come help me, and I can help you online like we're doing now, and see if we can get it figured out. So if you're a manager, hopefully your manager or your supervisor can help you be able to open this, because we want you to be able to save links. So once you have that saved, then now you'll have it in your links. So you can click on it from here, or you can click on it back at your SharePoint on your green list. So here it will show up now once you've saved it. So we're going to go either click on your education page that you saved here, or just go on over, click on your tab, go back to your education page. Let me know. Give me a thumbs up when you're back on the education page. And if you got lost, the link is right there in the chat. You just click on the link. Okay. All right, perfect. So the first thing that I want to show you on this page is that here is our team contact information. So if you click on that, that's going to have tell you who your nurse educator is, your back office, your front office educator, or training specialist, who is all on your education team for your areas. And so this is our emails right here. You can always find us on Teams if you need to chat really quick. So a good thing to know how to quickly find out, especially because you're new, find out who can help you. So we'll just arrow back, and that was right here, the contact information. And then this one is just all the clinics that PHMG has. So that is another link right there. And then as we go under quick links, we have our downtime forms. So say Care Connect went down, but you still need to be able to write notes, put in orders, anything like that. This is where you're going to find your downtime forms to be able to print those out and handwrite, old school it, right? Handwrite it, and we can get it scanned into the patient chart once Care Connect is back up. So we'll go ahead and arrow back. Oh, go ahead.
Did you ask me? I heard you say my name. I stepped out for just a quick bio
that's
break
okay.
really quick.
No, we had two people that couldn't their faves. They couldn't type anything in their user. They couldn't they couldn't put in an address or anything like that. So
weird.
Yeah, it was our two caregivers from Peace Harbor. So I was just wondering if so I told them to talk to their managers, supervisors to see if they could help them, and then reach out to their nurse educator or one of their educators to follow up with them.
Okay.
Yeah. So the good link right here, downtimes 4 under your quick links. Another one that I like to point out is our electronic library. So this library has a lot of good stuff in here. UpToDate. Have any of you used UpToDate before?
I have. I love UpToDate.
I do too. So UpToDate, it's a clinical support resource associated with improved outcomes. So you can look up any diagnosis or anything like that, and it will tell you different what you can do to. So let's look up. We'll look up. diabetes. Why not? We'll do type 2, and I'll just kind of show you. So management, the epidemiology, anything that you really need to know about a diagnosis is going to be an up-to-date. So if you just want to educate yourself, this is a great tool. And I used it a lot. We'll go ahead and arrow back. I used it a lot when in the beginning of my nursing, when clinicians would start talking to me and I didn't understand them, I would look it up on UpToDate. So I could then be like, yes, I totally get it, and not feel stupid. So I love UpToDate. Another thing that I like to point out is clinical skills. So say you have a patient coming in for a Foley change and you haven't changed a Foley in 5 years, and you need a review on how to do that, or give some, maybe start an IV, something like that, that you haven't done in a while. And so that you just want to make sure that you are doing it correctly. So this is where you would go for that. So then you would just type in right here, Foley catheter. And then we have a lot of information here. So we don't want home health. And suprapubic, so maybe I needed to put insertion. Oh, well, that's a male, but that's okay. This will work. So say you have to insert one and you haven't done it in a while, you just type in what you need to do, what you are looking for, and you're going to have a quick sheet, which is pretty much a down and dirty of this is what you need, this is how you perform it. The extended text in it's going to tell you this is what you need and why you need it, a list of supplies, and even videos on how to perform that. Pictures, and then you can even take a little test if you would like, a checklist of making sure that you've done everything. And so that's what clinical, that is just wrong. What is just wrong? Linda, you have me on the edge of my seat. Oh, video Foley placement.
I'm like,
But
what's wrong?
I know. But it's so funny because we'll have nurses that say, oh my gosh, I haven't done a Foley in 5 years and now I have this patient coming in and I have to do one. And then so I lead them here and I say, okay, watch this video and see if you need, and it's not on a real person. It isn't, these videos are on mannequins. So don't worry, it's not on a real person, but actually it is quite helpful to have these. But yep, it's all right there. So anything, just go ahead and look here for, does that make it better with my brain? You're killing me, Linda. And so, oh my gosh, you're cracking me up. So that's what clinical skills is. So it is a very handy thing that to have at your fingertips, to know that if a patient is coming in and that you need to do something, that you can go ahead and look it up and maybe study a few things, and then by the patient gets there, you'll be like, I'm an expert. I have watched the video 7 times, right? Okay, so we just back arrowed until we got back here. Another thing that I want to show you is, and still missed. Oh my gosh. No, you got to have better faith in yourself. You're not going to miss. You're going to do wonderful. Another thing that I want to show you here is CE Direct. So these are free CEUs that Peace Health has paid for. So if you click on CE Direct, the first time you log in is going to be your email, and the password is going to be Peace Health, all lowercase. It just tells you right here your initial password and your login.
Trouble hearing you, Rachel. You're cutting out, but I'm wondering if it's my connection. Is anybody else?
Oops, cut it. Oh, so you know what? I'll just get it on my phone too. Hold on 1 second.
Cutting in and out. So
Okay.
Sophie said she can hear you, but Linda said you're cutting in and out. You were cutting in and out for me too. So I just didn't know if it was my connection or if other people were having an issue.
Okay, so I am going to just go onto my cell phone. Better. So 1 second. Okay. Can you guys hear me? Sasha, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. So CE Direct, this is going to be free CEUs that Peace Health has already paid for. So, oh, I can hear myself echoing in my headset, so I have to put that far away. Okay. So the first time you log in, it tells you exactly right here. It's going to be your Peace Health email address, and then your password is going to be Peace Health, all lowercase. And then you'll go ahead and change your password. But we all know we have to get so many CEUs for our licenses, right? And they're all right here, free for you. So good thing to know. So we'll go ahead and arrow back. Oops, I didn't mean to arrow back twice. I'm going to go ahead and get back into my electronic library. Okay, so one more thing that I'd like to show you on here is Lexicomp. Does anyone know what Lexicomp is? All right, what is it, Sophie? That's right. Well, see, it's right under drug information, so it's kind of cheating. But yes, this is where, say you have to give a medication, and maybe you don't, maybe it's an IV medication, and you don't know, okay, what am I going to mix this in, and how fast do I have to run it, right? Say if like Rocephin, you have to give it IV, and you haven't done that for a while, so you can just look it up and click on it, and it tells you, gives you medication safety. It gives you all the information that you need for delivering this medication. Adult patient education, everything. It's right here. So very good to know. And it's also always good to call a pharmacy. I have done that. I used to call my pharmacist a lot when I would have to put my patients on drips. So always good to use them too. Why not, right? That's their specialty. Okay, so we'll go ahead and arrow back and get on back to that home page if I can. There we go. So let me know when you're back to this page. Give me a thumbs up. Were you able to get back to this page, Linda? Oh, you got lost. That's okay. I'm going to copy and paste this in the chat so you could just click on the link and it will get you there. We're going to cheat. There you go. So let me know, Linda, if that worked. Okay.
All right, you're there. Perfect. So the next thing that I do want to go over is our resources. So under scope of practice resources, we're going to have all of our different scope of practice, right? We have Alaska, Oregon, and Washington. And then under the detailed message communication matrix, so this tells you everything, what you're allowed to leave a detailed message. And a detailed message, we even have it defined under here, what a detailed message is. And so as an LPN RN, you can see that we are allowed to leave a lot of detailed messages, just like the providers. And we do have a couple that are provider discretion. And then right here, nobody is allowed to leave a detailed message. Even though I think this is funny that this says provider discretion and this says do not. So I think this needs to get fixed. Did you ever notice that, Sasha? These two?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think we need to fix these. But because if a provider can't leave a detailed message, I highly doubt an MA can. So this is a good thing to become familiar with. And of course, if you have any questions on scope of practice, this is, this has MA scope of practice, RN, LPN, all of that information's in these. And then our clinical practice chart, this is another good thing to look at. Here's our scope of practice again. We have our MAs and we have our nurses. And it just goes over what we are allowed to order or pinned en route, right? And what we can do. It's all right here on this page. So all of this is under our scope of practice. We'll go ahead and arrow back. And then under training materials, what I like to point out is our different workflows that we have. Are any of you going to be rooming patients, do you think? Okay, so to room patients, the rooming process, this is our full and our medication administration. These two are very good things to look at, but this is our full step-by-step of everything you need to do to room a patient. And we have the same thing for a medication administration, step by step. So these things would be very good for you guys to look at and become familiar with. There's even job aids linked on the side on how to do different things. So good to know. Caregiver competencies. This is where I said, I chimed in earlier and said I was going to show you where you could get that checklist, say if you ever lost it. So under nurse competencies, this is here's your skills checklist. Then we have our training guide and our resources material. So this is a good folder for you guys to know where stuff is. It's right here. Go ahead and arrow back. And then we have our job aids and toolkits. So say you are looking on how to maybe use a machine or that we have. So say you have never used the Billy check before. It's right here. It gives you a step-by-step breakdown on how to use it. And we even have one for testosterone. There we go. Our testosterone PH&G education injection. So this is this job aid breaks down the whole how to give this injection, how to prepare the medication, and how to administer the ventrogluteal injection that you would have to give it in. So this is a good job aid because you have to be an RN or LPN to do this. MAs can do that, but they have to be under direct observation of a clinician, RN, or LPN. So what's the point of tying two people up, right? We want to do better with our resources. So that more than likely an RN or an LPN or a clinician is going to do this. So here's our step-by-step on how to do that. So if you're say you're looking for a workflow, you can look in our job aids. And if you can't find it there, always head on over to clinical skills where I showed you earlier. And then we'll arrow back until we get back to that home page. And then the last thing under training materials is going to be our triage folder. So for you triage nurses, this is going to have our collaborative meeting minutes, training in different workflows. So we'll have more job aids here. This is how to do a telephone triage from the beginning to the end. Just different resources here. This folder is not that big as we just started creating this folder. So we will get more stuff in there, I promise. And we'll go ahead and arrow back. And then the last thing I want to show you on this page is our different handbooks. We talked about the COVID handbooks, right? And big handbook that is really important is this In-Basket handbook. So we created this, and In-Basket became a big thing on when clinicians are out. We need somebody to look at the results, right? And make sure that results are addressed in a timely manner. So what had happened at one point is that a patient had gotten it was a mammogram or a biopsy or something, and that clinician was gone when that result came in, and so nobody had looked at that result. That result got looked at when that patient was coming up for her annual follow-up a year later, and that patient had had a cancer and nobody had done anything for that patient for that whole year, because when they scrubbed that chart, that's when they saw that result and nobody had addressed it. And so we never want that to happen again. Never, ever. That was horrible. And so we now have an In-Basket handbook. Again, you can see when things were updated. It's up here at the top on how to work a provider In-Basket when a provider is gone. And if a patient calls, how to deal with patient phone calls in the In-Basket, right? And so this is a very good handbook for you to become familiarized with. All right, so that was it. Any questions on what I showed you? Or anything that you want me to show you again? Did you get lost anywhere? Give me a thumbs up if you're good and want to go to break. All right, Sophie's ready for break. Maria's ready for a break. We'll see if Linda's ready. Yes, could you show me where the basket was? Okay, under PH&G handbooks right here, In-Basket handbook, right there. Okay, so that's where that is. Are you able to see that, Linda? Okay, perfect. So you're welcome. Are you guys ready to take a 15-minute break? And we'll see you back here at 3:20.
I think that sounds great.
All right. We will see you all here at 3:20. Go ahead and go get your coffee to wake you up for the second part of the class.
Okay. Sophie, the telephone triage class is through a Teams call as well. Yes. Okay, so before we get started here, I just want to make sure Linda's back. So Linda, if when you're back, you want to give me a thumbs up. While we're waiting on Linda to come back, if Maria, if you and Sophie want to go ahead and go to Kahoot, I have it on the screen there. That's the web address. You may be able to click on it and it might take you there, but I'm not sure. Oh, perfect. Okay, you've got it on your cell phone. So yeah, if you guys just want to navigate there, and then as soon as Linda's back, we'll play a game really quick. Linda, if you're back and you can hear me, if you want to put a thumbs up so that I know that you're back. We'll give her one more minute and then we'll start without her. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. It's 4 minutes after 3:20. So I pasted the game pin. As you guys can see in the chat window, it pasted over kind of funny, so I apologize. But if you guys want to, oh, Sophie's in.
I'm not going to play because that would be cheating.
I guess I'll let it slide this time, Rachel. Okay, so then Maria. Oh, Maria's in. And then Linda, I don't know if you've joined us yet or not. Are you there?
I wonder if it's a nice day there, and she was just like, "Nope, I'm done. I'm out."
It happens. Let's
It is
see.
a nice day, I have to tell you.
Linda escaped. She ran home.
Okay. So can everyone see the screen now? The Kahoot screen?
Yep.
All right, so we're just gonna start. Are you guys ready? What are some key attributes of a professional nurse? You both got it right. Okay.
Just Maria was quicker.
What is correct delegation? RN to LPN, please call the patient back with their lab value. That is correct. Sophie in the lead. Which of the following roles could check off a nursing competency? I skipped forward too fast. I don't think anyone got it right. Did they, Rachel?
No, I think both of them did. Right?
Oh, they both, no.
Yep. Oh, no, they didn't.
No. Okay, so I
Yeah.
always like to stop at this one and tell everyone. So, and this is a little bit confusing. And after going through it today, I think we can do some different scripting in some of the slides because we do refer to clinician, manager, supervisor, peer, RN for validation. So, but to check off a nursing competency, peer, RN, LPN. So as we said, an RN can only validate for another RN or an LPN. An LPN can only validate for an LPN. You guys will find that in most of your clinics, your managers are not RNs. And so when we're doing the competency checkoff, it has to be with someone that has a license equal to ours, or like I said, an RN can do for an LPN. So I do feel like sometimes that's not so clear in this, so I think we might make some changes. But yes. Okay. Where would you find testosterone injection instructions? Good job. Let's see how we did. Sophie and Maria. Sophie's just quick on the draw.
Oh,
True.
Linda's playing in the chat.
Oh, she is.
Yeah, like it.
If you call a safety stop, you do not have to fill out a variance report. Is that true or false? So it looks like we were split. And here's the deal. If you call a safety stop, you always have to fill out a variance report. If you fill out a variance report, so if you're having unsafe staffing or whatever it might be that caused you to fill out a variance report, you do not have to call a safety stop if you fill out a variance report. But inevitably, if you call a safety stop, whatever you call a safety stop on, there has to be a variance report attached to that safety stop. Okay? All right. Sophie and then Maria. Okay. And then we'll go to our last one. Peace Health does not provide free CEUs. True or false?
Linda's quick on the
Yeah.
draw.
False. Because we know that we do provide free CEUs to you guys. Okay, so I'm just gonna, Maria was second place. First place will go to Sophie. And then Linda, I would say by default, you're just 3. You're in third by default. Okay, so I'm gonna close out of this. And then I'm gonna go back to my share content and we'll go back to this. Resume. Alrighty. Good job. I hope you guys had fun playing that. I think the Kahoots can always be a fun little game to break it up a little bit. So we're gonna roll right into emergency response. You do have a validation or a core competency for emergency response. So if you have your core competencies, go ahead and pull those out. And you guys can just follow along. So the easiest validation method for this competency is by participating in a mock event, and clinics should be scheduling mock emergency responses quarterly. And I'm actually working on an initiative right now with having champions for each clinic that can do these quarterly mock codes. They are very important. So that's how you would want to validate this method. Okay, so have you ever been involved in an emergency in the clinic or in the hospital or wherever you've worked? If anyone wants to tell us about that, about what went well, what you would do differently, anything like that. So Sophie, Linda, Maria, have you guys been involved in any emergencies or codes? In it? I'm sure, Maria, with your long career, you probably have been involved in several. Yes, okay. Do you want to come off mute and talk about any of those? You don't have to. I did put you on the spot. But feel free to share.
I would say that, I mean, I've been in probably many codes. One of my first ones was shortly after I became a nurse and I was working in the ICU. I had a brittle diabetic teenager that coded on me. And I mean, it went well because we brought him back, but that was pretty scary to be, you know, a new nurse and have that happen. And I think another one that comes to mind for me was I was working on the ambulance because I worked in a remote area of Northern California and they had nurses working the ambulance because they could function under protocols and the EMTs couldn't. And we didn't have paramedics. So I was out in the field and I went to a house and this elderly lady who did have cancer, the family was afraid to let her die. So they called the ambulance and so we resuscitated her. And I kind of felt bad about that because, I mean, we did bring her back, but just eventually to die. And I kind of felt bad about that because they didn't have a DNR on record. And so we brought her, you know, back to the hospital. So I guess the lesson there was make sure or ask if there's a DNR. And the family was just afraid to let her die at home.
Right. Those kinds of codes can be really hard. It looks like Linda said yes, she had a diabetic at 35 unconscious on the floor. And then Sophie also shared that she had a patient code in PACU while she was doing her preceptorship. So,
Nothing
if you're
like
gonna,
baptism by fire, right, Sophie?
I was just gonna say, if you're gonna have someone code, PACU's a great place.
Yeah, yes, that is true.
Okay, so all caregivers with BLS are able to respond to a clinic emergency. Roles in the emergency response are determined based on scope of those present. So what are the roles needed in an emergency response? So we have a recorder, two-person BLS provider, wayfinder for EMS arrival, runner for supplies and meds. Don't leave the patient alone, call for help, and stay calm. So what's great about this is although PARS, patient access reps, are not BLS across our system, they can serve essential roles during codes. They can be recorders, wayfinders, supply
What
runners. Go ahead.
and I was going to say one more thing that I think are very important for possibly PARS could do this is crowd control, right? I responded to a medical emergency and somebody was sitting watching drinking their coffee. So not appropriate, right? So it's always good to have somebody be able to do a bit of crowd control and say, thank you for showing up. We have enough people here that for help. Can I help you? Can I show you to your clinic, or can I point you in the right direction? Or, even if we have too many caregivers, like we don't need
Right.
5 nurses. And so it's always good to have somebody to do crowd control. And when I run our mock emergency responses, I like to make sure that we have somebody know that we got to have a crowd control person, because the people running the code or the emergency response have a hard time when they know everybody has eyes on them and people are just watching them like a show. So another good thing for a PAR to do.
Well, and too many people can just create too much confusion. So
Exactly.
I mean, you want help, you want people there, but there can be too many people. And so that's great. They can help with that. And then also with preparing records, which is actually way more important than people probably give credit for. Their face sheet, their med list, their snapshot, just any information, because that could pertain to what's going on with the patient. And so someone to print all that stuff out and have it ready that we can just hand that to EMS when they show up to transport the patient, if that's what happens, super, super helpful, because that answers a lot of questions that they're going to have. And it's also important to know your clinic resources. And what I mean by that is ACLS versus BLS. For example, in Ketchikan, the primary clinics are all ACLS equipped and certified, and in other communities, they may not be. I believe most of our clinics here are BLS, but sometimes you have some funky clinics, like endoscopy or different things where you have nurses that are ACLS. And so
And
it is kind of good to
I
know.
believe some urgent cares too are ACLS because they have
ACLS.
rush carts. Yes.
Yeah. So it's also, so that's really good to know. Are you in a clinic that's ACLS or BLS? Because that's going to be important. After today's class, your professional and clinical responsibility will include discovering what your clinic's emergency response level is, ACLS or not, what equipment you have available, how to use it, and the most important thing, where is it? Because if you don't know where your crash cart is, your defib, whatever you're going to be using, I would say that's the most important thing. Figure out where it's at, because then you can grab it, or you might have someone look at you, go, you might be saying, grab the crash cart or whatever. And they're going to go, well, where is it? So always know where that is, because that'll get you every time. You also want to make sure you're aware of what medications your clinic keeps on hand. Medications and oxygen require an order. So be aware that if you're working in a clinic that offers vaccinations, our standing order from the CDC for adult and pediatric vaccinations includes the use of Epi for anaphylactic response to the vaccine. So that's super important to know because that's already a standing order for
And
vaccinations.
another thing to point out with that, I just like to point this out, is that an MA cannot give medications under an under an emergency. So you can't tell an MA, hey, give the epi now. So that would have to be an RN or an LPN, just so you know.
And you can take, in an emergency situation like this, you can take verbal orders from the provider. So, I mean, if a provider's like, put oxygen on them, you can put oxygen on them and then just make sure that you're documenting that later, that you had an order to provide that. And then as far as ACLS, some clinics maintain this, like we talked about, some specialty areas, ambulatory surgery, and Alaska is an example. But in a true emergency, the goal in most clinics is to just keep the patient safe. We want to collect vitals, use an AED when appropriate, apply supportive measures like oxygen until EMS arrives. And then any patient requiring a higher level of care must be transported by EMS. And then some clinics stock emergency response meds such as Narcan, insulin, epinephrine, and glucagon. And I'm just going to make a quick note here because this actually arose this week. We had a patient that was diabetic and that went to the front desk asking the patient access rep for juice because she said that she could tell her blood sugar was low and she wasn't feeling well. And so the patient access rep did provide that patient with juice. So that is something that's not, while that's not a, necessarily an emergency, call 911, I would consider that to be kind of I don't know, Rachel, what would you, I don't want to say emergent event, but I mean, that's a higher level event occurring in a clinic.
I think that is something that would take a nurse to assess a patient. That a nurse probably should have assessed that patient before giving the juice, because it could have been, even though diabetics most of the time know when they're high or low, but yeah, so it's definitely something where they should have at least had a nurse triage come up.
Yeah. So just be aware though, because that, like giving something simple like giving juice is actually considered an intervention. And so that's again, this goes back, just know your scope of practice, and just be aware, because some things don't present as maybe being such a big deal, but they ultimately could be a big deal. So keep that in your pocket. Okay, so emergency response after the event. We always want to debrief, document the event, the interventions, who was involved, enter orders and sign as verbal or pending as appropriate for any meds given during the emergency response. Like I mentioned previously, verbal orders can be accepted in emergencies only. And then you want to debrief as close to the event as possible. What went well? What would be, what could we do differently? I think debriefing is really important. I know that sometimes it doesn't always happen, but I think it is important to happen, especially when you have a group of people that maybe haven't done a lot of codes together, haven't worked together. I think it's always super important to debrief. Have any of you guys debriefed, Maria, Linda, Sophie, during any of these code situations you guys had talked about or encountered? Were you able to debrief afterwards at all?
Both of my codes, well, the very first one, they just weren't debriefing. That wasn't something they did. That was back in the old days,
Mhm.
And the second one, when I was on the ambulance, I don't think I was debriefed on that one either, because we had to go right back out. And I don't know by the end of my shift that we ever had an opportunity to debrief.
Mhm. It looks like Sophie and Linda both said that they had, yeah. I don't know. I like to debrief. I mean, I'll be honest, in the OR, we don't debrief after a code. But I think that it would be helpful. But again, I think depends on where you're at, because there's no better place for a patient to code than probably the OR or the PACU, places that are set up to receive patients immediately like that. So, or the ER, someplace like that. So we don't do it a whole lot in those environments. And but again, you're kind of a well-oiled machine. That's what you're doing day in and day out. But I do think that it's important, especially in a clinic setting, when you have a bunch of you have nurses, you have PARs, you have a bunch of people with various roles. And like we said, not all of them may have BLS. So I do think it's important in those. I think it's important across the board, but I definitely think in an unfamiliar environment or anytime, it's important to debrief. Okay.
On a side note, I think that debriefing, not only what went well, what didn't go well, that how people were affected by the code, I think, is a very important thing to bring up in debriefing, because for a lot of people, it could have been the very first time they ever had a code, and they can be pretty much shook up after that. And I think it's important to talk about those feelings, during debriefing.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, certain things can strike things, certain chords in people, and maybe bring up some past issues or something. So I think for multiple reasons, like you said, Maria, it is important. Okay, so I'm going to hand over to Rachel. She's going to be going over the role in patient visit with you guys. So she's going to take hold of the screen here.
All right, so I changed back to my headset, but if you need me to call back on my phone, just let me know if I start breaking up again. Okay.
Okay.
So we have role in a patient visit, which Sasha already introduced for me. So these are the different examples of some roles that we have in our patient visit, right? We have med admin, the nursing assessment, education, and then our clinical skills, any procedures that we would do. But there's also more roles that we have, nurse triage and our care management. We don't have specific competencies yet for our care managers and our nurse triage. Everybody, no matter what role you're in, you kind of get this you get this lump of a bunch of competencies, and so we are working on getting that broken up. So again, here is our checkoff list for our role in a patient visit, and then our validation method. So we have the self-assessment or evidence of daily work, so our peer observers also. So first, we're going to talk about medication administration. So checkoff list, here we are, validation method. So with our validation method for medication administration, this one actually requires a return demonstration in front of another nurse. So when you are giving medications for the first couple of times, you need to be signed off by another nurse. They have to watch you do it. So there is a PHMG medication administration e-learning program that was assigned to you on Hire. Some of you may have already done it on My Learning. So no matter, say you're going to do case management and you're never going to give a medication, it doesn't matter. You still have to go through this My Learning. So this module, it will go in depth of what the med admin process is for PHMG and to go into the policy and procedure, and it will take you, like I said, it's going to take you a couple of hours to be able to complete this. So make sure that you have time during the first few weeks in your clinic to be able to complete this. So when you're validated, it's going to be a return demonstration in front of another RN, or our LPNs can have another LPN watch them do this. And for those who do not give meds, the competency will be marked NA. but you still have to do the e-learning, but you don't have to perform a competency if you do not give medications. So our focused or system-based assessment, right? Our LPNs are allowed to do a focused assessment independently, and RNs can do a complete or complex assessment independently. Where would you look out of all those resources that I showed you before our break? Where would you look for a refresher on how to do a physical assessment? Can anybody remember? I see Sophie is typing. Yes, clinical skills on the PHMG education. Way to go, Sophie. Yes, that's where you can look to get a refresher on doing a focused or complete complex assessment. So, like we said, when we're doing a nursing assessment, here are some of the tools that you have that some of them you don't need an order for, right? A patient comes in not feeling well. We can get a complete set of vital signs. We don't need an order. A urine dip, we actually have a standing order. So it's an order that you put in, sign, and then send off for a cosign by a clinician, but you can act on it before the clinician actually signs it. So these things right here do have a standing order. And then also our strep. Also, I just got this updated. So our blood sugar, it used to get a finger stick blood sugar was only in our urgent cares, but I did get it updated a couple weeks ago to where any PHMG clinic can get a blood sugar if a patient is diabetic and not feeling well. You can get that as a standing order. Just remember, you have to enter the order in first, sign it and send it for cosign, and then you can act on it. The provider can cosign it later. So the nursing role in a patient visit, I am going, can you go ahead and paste this in there for me, Sasha? The house inhaler video? Or can you guys click on this link and it works? I wonder if I lost Sasha. 1 second.
I'm here. Sorry.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
here. I'm
Oh,
trying
okay.
to figure out how to paste
It's in our teaching notes. Do you have our teaching notes open? Okay, let me see if I still have them open. I still have them open. I can do it. 1 second. Let me scroll to the top.
Oh, wait. I think
Do you got it?
yeah.
Okay.
Copy. Let me see if I. No, it didn't do that. Okay.
Here, I got it. There we go. Okay, so go ahead and click on the link and then give me a thumbs up when you're done watching the video. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I was talking and not
I was
on
just
mute.
literally
I
about
am
to
so
say, I'm
sorry.
like, she's on mute.
Okay, does anybody have, and I was thinking, gosh, nobody has a story. Does anybody have a story about when Teach Back was, whether Teach Back was either successful or unsuccessful? And I kept on saying, nobody has a story. That's so weird. And then I'm on mute. So, oh, it's been a long day. Okay, so I know I'm not on mute anymore. So nobody has a story. Okay, we'll just go ahead on. So with education, an MA can only reinforce already delivered education. So if it's something that you've already taught a patient, and you maybe gone over a pamphlet, an MA can go in with that same pamphlet and just reinforce the education that you've already delivered. An LPN can deliver pre-developed education. So they're not going to create the education and then deliver it. And then the RN, oh, good, we have one story. An RN can develop and deliver all patient education. So diabetic teaching how to poke fingers, patients wanted to use other body parts, an ear and an arm. Oh my goodness, Linda. That's hilarious. I've heard patients say, no, my fingers hurt so bad, but yeah, never said, can I offer up an ear? Did that work? That is so
I was
funny.
gonna say I haven't heard of an ear before. That
No.
ear's new for me.
Yes, it is. That one is definitely new for me. So medication administration, nursing focused assessment for the chief complaint, patient education and clinical skills, and we have the additional nurse roles, the telephone triage and care management that we hopefully will get competencies rolled out for them quickly. So, let's go over some clinical skills. So as my fellow colleagues have shared with you during this class, we as nurses, right, we play a huge role in the care of our patients. So, and all that we do, all that we need to know, that we're professional and that we utilize technology. We need to know how to respond to different emergencies. We need to know how to administer medications and vaccines. And if that isn't enough, we also play a huge role in knowing education and performing key clinic skills, whether independently or assisting. So here is more clinical skills with our nurse core competencies. There's our list. Validation methods. So this one, self-assessment. We got the return demonstration. And now we're going to do a bit of a case study. Okay, so we have a patient come in. And you're a nurse working in the urgent care, and the PAR at the front desk asks you to triage a patient who is complaining of dizziness. You bring the patient back to the triage room and get a set of vitals. The patient is tachycardic, and you see the patient chart that she has a history of diabetes. So what is your next step? What are you going to do? Point of care. Yep. So how many people here have done a finger stick blood sugar before? Oh, EKG, good one. How many people here have done finger stick blood sugar and EKGs? Everybody? Okay. So Are you all pretty comfortable with those? Yes. Oh, good. So if you guys haven't done, say you're not comfortable with it and you haven't done one for a while, where would you get information on how to perform this skill? Oh, and Sophie's never done an EKG. Okay, how would you get information? Where would you get information on how to do this skill? Yep, in our education resources. Can you narrow that down a little more in our education, on our education page? So we got, you can always look at the manufacturer instructions, right? Our clinical skills, our job aids, and then you can ask a peer. So, but as a nurse, we always want to assess the credibility of the source where we're getting our information, right? So what if you found a job aid that had no source on it, no dates? Would you want to use it? So maybe this thing was written 10 years ago. Exactly. You would want to find a better source than that, than finding a job aid with no date. That should not happen. If you ever do see a job aid without a date, let us know, because we are supposed to update those. We have to update those ever so often, and if it doesn't have a date, that needs to be fixed so that you know that that is a credible source. Do you need an order to perform your finger stick blood sugar or your EKG? So can anyone for the blood sugar, yes, you do have a standing order. And so what we would need to do before we get that blood sugar is that we need to go in. We need to go and just verify. I like to tell everyone, even though you know that we have a standing order for it, you don't know, sometimes collaboratives just decide that that one is no longer right, or that it needs to be changed, that it should be only to certain clinics. So always go on to our standing order website and just verify that we do still have that standing order. Don't print them out, because you never know if it's going to change. I present standing orders monthly to the different collaboratives, and you will be surprised at how often I have to change these standing orders. So always good to go look at the standing order and make sure it still works for you, that it says your clinic can do it, because some of them are only for cardiology or for urgent care or for a certain type of patient. So if your patient doesn't fit in that population, or it says RN only, or we'll have RN, LP, and MA. So just make sure that it fits for you. You're going to put that order in and say standing order and need for cosign. Go ahead and sign that order, and then you can go ahead with that, with proceeding with the blood glucose. So when you are going to do the finger stick for your patient, what is something you're going to do to educate your patient on what you're doing, right? We're not just going to go in and jab our patient and not tell them what we're doing. So what is something that you would say to your patient if they were coming in and feeling like this? Yep, ask them if they're checking at home. And just as easy as saying, you're have a history of diabetes, you're dizzy. I just really feel like we need to get your blood sugar right now. And you can, and ask, what was it this morning? Explain as you go and make sure, they understand by repeating it back to you. Perfect. And if they're not feeling very, very good, having them repeat back to us is very important, because we don't really know if they are following along, because they aren't feeling good right now. Um, so another thing that's important, like Sasha said, where is your equipment? Where is that? Where, when was the last time it was QC'd? Where are your QC logs, right? We don't want to go into an urgent situation like this and have to wait on QCing our blood sugar machines, right? So making sure that that your POCTs are all getting their QCs done in the correct amount of time. Some are daily, some are once a week, some or maybe every couple of weeks. So it's just good to know when they need to be QC'd and if it was QC'd. And then Linda says, explain as, or wait, no, watch their eyes, make sure they don't bottom out on you. Yes, that is also a good thing. So you check her blood sugar and it is 52. So per the standing order, it says if blood glucose is less than 70 for adults and children, then place in a treatment area immediately and notify a provider for further instructions. So if you haven't gotten that patient back into a treatment room, maybe they might be, and you might have like a little nurse visit room. Make sure to get them back to a treatment room and let a doctor know that what the patient's blood sugar is. Another thing, once the patient starts feeling better, where would we go to get some education for our patient on hypoglycemia?
We could actually go to the external website and do the A to Z
Yes,
education.
perfect. Yep, the HealthWise A to Z. Perfect. You and Sophie got it. So you're going to provide education to the patient and family, and then how are we going to confirm understanding? How are we going to do that? Confirm that they understand it. We got the teach back method, right? I see Sophie was typing. I might have already maybe I was quick on the draw. And then what if your patient says that they haven't been measuring their blood glucose at home? What are we going to ask? What are some things that we would ask?
Ask them if they have a glucometer and if they have supplies.
Yep, that's a big one because that stuff's expensive. And maybe they don't know how to get it. Maybe they have a lack of knowledge of when to check. And do we need to get care management involved with these patients? So that's a few things that we could think about. And then last but not least, what are we going to document in our patient's chart? And Linda put no insurance or money for supplies. Yeah, that's a big one. That's when we ask care management to swoop in and save the day. Yep, everything we did for them, right? We're gonna document our assessment and interventions. Yep, we're gonna document what the blood glucose was. A lot of times people will consider using a smart phrase for different assessments, or just have a journal one for assessments. Plug that in, and so that way you don't forget anything. And then also we want to document what education that we gave to the patient and how we verified that they understood what we gave them. And last but not least, we have to make sure that we charge the patient we don't charge them for a nurse visit, but we are going to charge them for the test. So I know I hate talking about charging patients, but that's one way that we keep our lights on, right? We have to keep our lights on, keep our doors open. So don't forget to charge our patients. So if you have any questions about charge capture, your manager, every clinic is assigned a coder. So you could just ask your manager who the coder is that's assigned to your clinic, and then they could help you with that. And we also do have an incomplete work queue report that shows all the lost income due to charting errors for things that we didn't chart, like we did a finger stick blood sugar, but we didn't chart for it, or we did an influenza test, but we didn't chart for it. We didn't charge for it, and so we lost all of that money for those things that we did do and didn't send off to be billed. So after the visit with the clinician, the nurse is asked to follow up with the patient before they leave. So does the patient know what to expect after doing the procedure, right? Do they have their after visit summary with the education on there? And there's a lot of time that you guys that we're fielding patient calls. Like maybe they talked to the clinician and they told the clinician they understood, but they really didn't. And so they're going to call later and say, okay, I don't really know what my clinician wanted me to do. They were talking really fast and they said really big words that I don't understand. And then we have to break it down for them. So that's why it's really good that we follow up with the patient and said, okay, do you understand everything that the clinician has said to you? Can you tell me what they did? A good thing is, can you tell me what the clinician said? And so if they are able to repeat back to you, that's always a good thing. And just making sure that everything's on their AVS. So see how much critical thinking just went along with the patient coming in with a low blood sugar. So you guys did really good. So thank you at this 4:15 in the afternoon doing a case study with me and not being mad at me. So thank you for that. So now just to put everything together, here is a list of what you need to consider anytime you engage in performing a clinical skill. So do you guys have any questions about the competency or how you will get validated? Okay, we're getting no's.
Yay.
And then, oh, you guys are going to get out early. I know you guys are sad. Okay, so Sasha, do you still have the Kahoot pulled up? We have another Kahoot.
I do.
Yay. Okay, so I'm going to quit sharing. Hey, Sasha, when you share, will you share with sound so that they can get the music?
You betcha.
Ah, thank
me-
you.
Let
Because
me,
when the winner is always, you get like a grand music. And so I want to make sure our winner gets their music.
where did it go? I had it all pulled up and I was super happy and now it's, I'm like, seriously? Is it on a different, give me just a second.
That's okay. We're going to get there. We're still going to get them out early. Linda, do not be scared. You got this, girl.
Let me, all right, I'll go back to it. It must have exited out, or maybe I hit X and didn't know it. So, sorry guys, thanks for your patience. That's weird. I had it all pulled up.
Well, it's because you were prepared. If you were less prepared,
I know.
probably would have been a lot easier.
I'm like, where did that thing go? Come on. Now when I'm trying to pull it up, it is a blank screen.
Oh no. Okay, let me see if I can get it. Hold on one second. Kahoot. I have to remind myself of the password. Don't have those memorized yet. Okay.
That's weird. I wonder if that's why it maybe kicked me out.
Yeah, it could have been. But we will get it. I will get it pulled up 1 second. Okay. All right, Sasha, you might be off the hook, my friend. Okay, so
I tried it again. Anytime I log in, it pulls up a blank screen.
oh,
get to
that is
login.
odd.
Yeah, I get to the login and then it just keeps doing this weird screen.
Oh, well.
Did it pull up for you?
Yep, I got it. So I am going to go
Super
into
weird.
Classic. Yeah. So it's going to load your game pin. Can you all see my screen? Okay, we got Sophie and Linda. You said where? Can you not see my screen? And if you just go to right here, www.kahoot.it, right there, if you just go to that, and then it'll ask you for game pin, and then you'll throw in the game pin. Linda, were you able to find it?
Loading.
Okay, perfect. This last Kahoot, when I the last time I taught this class, when I put this on, both of my monitors crashed. So this last Kahoot, I swear, it causes problems for everybody. It was my docking station died when I was presenting this. It was horrible. So I just think they just don't want you to teach 4-hour classes. That's what it is.
I have to say though, 4 hours isn't as horrible because I'm part of a leadership cohort and we meet once a month. And the last time we met, it was 9 hours and it's all via Teams and it's painful.
Yeah, I couldn't do that. 4 hour, I will take my 4 hours any day. Oh, and look, Linda, are you me? I'm taking that as Linda. All right, so you guys ready? We are gonna start this. So where would you find the skill for a peripheral IV insertion? All right, it's going to be clinical skills. Good job. And that big juicy vein right there, oh, that was money. I was about to say that person better have not missed that IV. All right, Sophie, you're quick to the draw. Good job. All right, a true or false here. Only a registered nurse can lead a clinic emergency response. False. Nice. That was a quick one. You guys were really quick on that one. Sophie, you're keeping the lead. They're closing in though. Linda's closing in on you. All right. It is okay to proceed with MedAdmin when the NDC numbers on a vial and Care Connect options don't match. Oh, we didn't go over that. So we will, that's not in our teaching notes. We need to update that, Sasha. So this one it's a guess. Yep, good job. So sometimes the NDC numbers don't get updated, but if it is, if you know that this is the correct med, you have checked it against the order, right? We have the right dose, the right medication. If you have a second caregiver validate with you that that medication is correct, then it is okay to go ahead and give that medication, but you do want to make sure that other caregiver does chart that they did check and that it is the correct medication. All right. A true or false? It is out of scope for RNs or LPNs to give patient education. Only clinicians may do this. Nice. You guys are quick. Oh, Maria, you're freaking on fire. Look at that. This is a multi-select, so select multiples. During a clinic emergency, the following caregivers have a role to play in the response. Choose all that apply. Oh, we're split. Oh, never mind. We weren't split. Everybody picked, I think everybody picked all of them maybe. But yes, everybody can help in an emergency, right? We could use the PARS for crowd control, to do recording, to grab a face sheet on the patient. MAs, we can ask to grab supplies, and because they know where the O2 is more so than possibly the PAR, things like that. So yep, we want to grab everyone that we can. And the crowd control person, I tell you, that is a key person. All right. What is the final step in the nursing process? Evaluation, right. It used to be, when I was in nursing school, it was ADPI, but then they added the O, outcome. So now it's a DUPI. I don't know, is that how you guys were taught in nursing school back at the ADPI? That's how I was taught. All right, here we go. We're going to find our winners. Third, Maria. Then second place, we have Linda. And then first place, Sophie. Nice job, you guys.
Okay, I just
Great
want to say
job.
that my network was really slow. That's why I missed mine.
Okay. I don't, nothing is ever held against you. Nothing. All right, so we're going to go ahead and. All right, so let's go ahead and get back into. I'm gonna. And then I'm going to quit sharing, and then I'm going to start sharing again, because we just have a couple of more slides to go through. And and then you are free to go on with your evening. Okay. So these were the objectives that we had presented to you earlier, and we just want to make sure that you guys felt that we did hit all of these objectives. To identify resources to strengthen your nursing professionalism, utilize available technology that we have provided for you, provide care to a patient in an emergency, administer medications and vaccines, locate your training materials, and facilitate a patient visit. So those were our objectives today. And then in closing, we just want to thank you all so much for all of your engagement. We know that it's a long time to sit and listen to us talk. There will be an evaluation that will be sent out. So please put in there anything that you wish that you would have that we would have gone over, or things that you really liked, or anything that you would change. So please put that in there. This is a newer class. We've only been teaching it since the beginning of the year. So this class can be updated as it is still a baby class. Sasha put in a video for you guys to watch. Once you're done with the video, you can go ahead and hang up and leave for the day. You guys are now done after you watch this video. So thank you for everything.
Thank you guys very much. We really appreciate it. We know that this this format of learning can sometimes be a little bit difficult and challenging. So we really appreciate you guys' patience and your involvement today.